Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining this webinar about sustainable water usage and mainly water strategy, water management. My name is Nick Eerstein. I work for Smartvatten since 2020. I'm based in the Netherlands in our Amsterdam office. Good to know about Smartvatten is it was started in 2013 in Finland. We've gotten very big in Finland and slowly moved across Scandinavia. So Sweden is it was the next place that we went to, and since then we moved across Europe. Starting in the Netherlands a couple years ago, getting a real office over there. And you probably have met some of our other account managers who are helping us growing. So my job is actually the customer success manager, which means that I help our customers in the operational sense to make sure that they can get started with our service. And through their time with Smartvatten, I make sure they can get the most out of our product as possible. And part of that is talking about water management and doing this webinar as well. So before this, I also worked within sustainability. I worked a lot with green energy and solar panels. And with my previous company, I was also did a lot of projects on process improvements, something I'm doing here at Smartvatten as well. And together with our team as customer success, we really want to be the expert within water management and help our customers reach that maximum potential in the end. So that's definitely part of what we're going to be talking about today. We have a little video as an introduction of Smartvatten, so you know what we're doing.
Water. More than 2/3 of the world is covered in water. Yet the United Nations has estimated that by 2030, 40% of the world's population will experience water scarcity. That's why water management is now an important part of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. At Smartvatten, we're proud to play a crucial role in saving hundreds of millions of liters of water every year on behalf of property owners and managers, housing companies, and municipalities. With our easily installable devices, we measure water consumption in real time and detect leakages early on, enabling fast action in order to avoid unnecessary wastage, costs, and property damage. Our innovative software allows property owners and managers around the world to know exactly how much water moves through their pipelines and report on a portfolio level how much CO2 is emitted due to water consumption. With Smartvatten, you can improve your environmental and social governance performance thanks to a clear and simple water strategy. You can even earn points for your sustainability certifications. Become our partner, and together, we will achieve your sustainability goals. Smartvatten, specialists in water efficiency.
All right, yeah, the video really specifies what impact we're trying to make. And how we look towards the future and the importance of water. So if you look at the Smartvatten as a company within the ecosystem of water usage, there's a lot of different players in there. And one of them on the left is the property owners that we work with a lot. And you see that there's a lot of different players that can add to this. So we really want to increase the cooperation between the different players and adding value to the ecosystem. And we can do that by making it possible to have real-time water consumption monitoring and automated alerts. So the leakage alerts, but also the monthly reporting, for example. We as Smartvatten see that we're still at the very beginning of this, but there is a lot of ground to be covered. So it's not the time to sit still and really start working on this. So we're prepared for the future and we can actually make a difference in the very near future as well. Well, when it comes to any strategy, there's these 6 steps that you would see in here. And so we're also going to apply that to a water saving strategy today. It's the 6 steps are strategy, objective, implementation, monitoring, reporting, and enhance or evaluation. We'll go through these 6 steps. We'll add some very concrete examples as well. And hopefully we'll be able to discuss some parts of it. For us, between or when we look at our ESG goals and objectives, in general, we feel that there's still a lot of ground to be covered when it comes to the subject water, where it is in many of the ESG strategies, water is mentioned, but it's not very explicit yet. And there might not be a very good grasp of what is possible. If we're looking at, energy saving strategies, those have been progressed over the last decade significantly, while water saving has been a little bit less covered. This does mean that there is a huge potential. And that can be achieved without even small investments. So that's something I want to highlight today. So one thing for us that's important is that Smartvatten really wants to build a partnership with their customers, so we can be there through those steps with you. And we understand that if you're working with sustainability within your portfolio, it's a team effort, and a reliable partner is very important in there. So when we get to step 1, in the strategy, you really get to just formulating your strategy, and in that sense, that formulating that strategy towards water, it can be very broad. It doesn't have to be very specific just yet. Excuse me. It could be as simple as, well, I have 100 different buildings in my portfolio, and I want to start saving water so we can educate our employees and tenants on how they become more sustainable. That would be a good starting point. And then to really look at what is the current situation with the properties that I own, and what do I want to change about this. When we start from this point, we see that water in many cases has still been overlooked as a resource, and that the responsibilities of how water is used is very scattered. Think about the different water companies that you have in your country. In the Netherlands, for example, it's 10 to 12 different companies, while many of you have a portfolio that spreads out over the entire country, which kind of means that the responsibility to take a first step is actually on the property owners rather than to look anywhere else for that. So that's something that Smartvatten wants to enable you with, giving you a platform to work with, and as well as a partner that can push change within this part of the ESG strategy. If we look again to the energy sector, is that the progress that can be made shows a lot of potential, but we do need to have a proactive attitude towards this. And I think what is important to think about when you're in formulating your strategy is that you formulate a strategy that really fits your organization. So think about what are your core values. It's always important. All right, then step 2 would be formulating actual objectives. So this is the point where you get a little bit more concrete and you start working with the actual subject. Well, of course, in our point, data collection is super important, and that's what our product enables you to, starting to collect data every minute from every water meter in every property that you have. By doing so, you can create the baseline and you can start working from that. Well, one of the questions that might come up is Corona and COVID been affected this, so that you can still or can't use 2020 as a baseline. And I think in my mind, yes, it will be a little bit of an outlier, but you can still use the data that you collected over the last year as a starting point to start making changes. With every data that you have, there will be a context that's needed, and in this case, it's very prevalent, of course. So I think the data that you collected is still very valuable. Then you're also, when you're formulating some objectives, you need to know how you're going to monitor and report about this. Well, of course, that's what our product does as well. You want to remove some outliers and obstacles. Well, think about leakages. Those are some that will come up. And of course, they're not within your normal usage. And you need to define some KPIs and identify some non-priorities. For example, very low usage properties. They're sometimes not very interesting to use in this scenario. And some low-hanging fruits. That means the easy to make changes to really start changing your usage. So when you think about KPIs, I would say you just want your water usage to go down relatively every year by X%, for example. To take it away from the steps for a second, I want to give some concrete examples about how you can get started on saving water. You know, gathering data can take some time, but that doesn't mean you can't start saving water right now. If you look at the pictures that I put up, those are some three of the key elements on how you can start saving water today. It's your faucets, it's the toilet tanks, and it's the shower heads. So whether you have an apartment building or an office building, those are all around and are significant users of water. And they can be adapted so you can start saving water. So if you have about a little bit of data to get started with, you can already make these kind of adaptations to see what kind of changes those make. And then in the longer run, you can start formulating long-term objectives. So if you want to look at these water points, if you want to adjust them, they're usually about somewhere between 5 and 20 euros to make a change. And the reduction in the water usage will actually justify spending that. One of the things I would recommend is, make these changes in one building that you have a good overview of how much water it uses. Make the changes and then come back to it and see how it has changed the usage over time. And those steps will come back in 3, 4, and 5. So we'll come back to that in a little bit. If I bring up a very concrete example about starting small, this is one of our properties or one of our customers in Finland that has used this. They made changes in August and October 2020 and actually started to see the difference in the months after. So you see that highlighted in the right bottom corner. You see they made some changes. This is apartment buildings. I have to check how many specifically. It's an apartment building of 18 apartments, and they started saving later on the year, up to 19% of their water usage. And so that's very little changes that really add up in the long run. And it was showed in this case, they were saving up to 50,000 liters per year. That's about a fuel truck, actually a bit more than a fuel truck. So then if you look at, if you have 20 different apartment buildings, it will add up to a real fleet of these fuel trucks. And that's just every year. So those changes, that you made for 1 year, they will last. All right. To come back to our, really making the steps of the strategy, I've put together 3, 4, and 5 a bit as the heart of this cycle, where in step 3, you will start to monitor. You can do that through the dashboard or the energy management system that you use. And by monitoring, I really mean making sure that you know what is going on. If you've made the change, you monitor before making the changes, and you monitor after making some changes. And those 2 points you will use in step 4 to report. What was the baseline and what were the expectations of the next steps, to come to step 5, really implementing the changes. That's actually where you make the actual changes. And you can also in step 5 monitor a little bit again and see if there's some new circumstances that you need to adapt to. Of course, then you come back and you have to monitor again to see if your changes have the outcome that you wished for. And then there's another point of report and evaluating. Are your results measuring up to your expectations? And I think there's one really important part of this cycle is, sharing your results. I think a lot of us in this meeting know the importance of water. I think that's not something we need to necessarily specify, but by sharing your results, you can get other people involved within your organization. I think that's really important because, let's say you do have 100 buildings in your portfolio or within your company, you can't do it by yourself. You really need to create this feeling that you need to do it together, and really get your colleagues involved in making a change. So I think that's really important, and with, for example, the API that we have at Smartvatten, we can send those results to different dashboards to make sure that you don't necessarily have to present your results to every individual in your company, but it becomes visible to everybody who looks at these dashboards to begin with. So that's something we also want to encourage. And then to come to step 6, enhance, or in other words, your more evaluation part of the process. So I think step 3, 4, and 5 is a cycle you can repeat a lot. And in step 6 is very important to really look back at the whole process and think about how can you take the next step. And one of the things that I think is very important is to look back at our step 1. It's asking what was the current situation, or what was the previous situation now, and what do I want to change, and have your changes really improved on what you were defining in step 1 and 2. Have they contribute to my objectives that we formulated in step 2? And what things can I repeat in the step 3, 4, and 5 and improve even further? We talked about faucets, toilet tanks, and shower heads. What's the next step? Is there boilers? Are we going to have renovation plans that we can incorporate water savings more? And you will see that, in the first cycle, some of the changes are very easy to make, and in the next cycles, you would have to put in more effort to obtain new results. But that's okay, because then we're talking about the longer term, and you have more time to formulate it. Like we saw before, and we see that with a lot of customers, is that in your first cycle, you can already achieve water savings of up to 20% of your consumption per location. And I mean, that's a big change. So that's really already a big point of things that we can get started on. All right, to bring it to a cycle as well. What are some of the things that you want to remember when you're leaving this webinar? Is don't lose sight of your objectives, of course. That's always very important. Starting small is definitely something that's recommended. And create awareness and support to have larger outcomes in the end. Think a little addition as well. Small results are also a result. Of course, you want to make big changes, but sometimes something doesn't really work out the way you thought, but you can learn from that as well. All right. So we also want to have a look at what Smartvatten thinks the future will bring. We think there's still a lot of innovation in water savings to be done. Excuse me. Personally, I think one of the first things that will come up in terms of innovations is that we'll start using a lot more gray water or rainwater in our systems. There's some significant changes that need to happen, but they are a very huge potential of making a difference for the future. One thing that we see a lot across where our customers are located is that there's more national, European, and other regulations coming up regarding water. To think about that concretely, we expect the water prices to rise significantly, and especially in some of the countries that we work in, the Netherlands, Sweden, water is still relatively cheap compared to Finland, for example, and we think they're going to even that out in the next few years. At Smartvatten, we think the future will bring, sustainable relationships with our current customers next to growth. We want to focus on both, and we work very hard in doing so. And the plan is that in the next 5 years, we're really adding a lot of new team members to make sure that we can grow as planned, as well as sustaining our own current customers, making sure that they're able to take those next steps and we can keep doing stuff like this. And we do really aim for different cooperations between the industry. We speak a lot to different water companies in the Netherlands, in Finland. We're making a lot of progress in that, making sure that there's going to be more push for improvement in the ecosystem as well. So at Smartvatten, I think it's nice to reiterate that we're really looking for customers where they are aware of how important water is in the future, and that we can actually help them on this topic. We make sure that as many people within the organization become aware of how Smartvatten works and how it can help them in their daily activities by giving them a successful onboarding. And hopefully that will lead into a complete rollout of their portfolio. Right now, we already have a very large group of customers that we're very proud of, that you see in here. And we really want to work together with everybody to make sure that they get the most value out of our service, as well as really working to making a change in the future. And so to have a little video at the end as well. After this, we have a question section, but we can also show you some of the output that we've produced lately to make sure it would really show you what makes us proud.
The Olympic Stadium is, of course, a very old and iconic building. It's important to keep the Olympic Stadium in a good condition and to retain it for the future. And of course, the Olympic Stadium is a very popular building, and the companies are actually located in the catacomb of the stadium.
Besides it being in one of the G4 cities of the Netherlands, an asset may be special. For instance, due to the building's history. We believe the Olympic Stadium is one of those special buildings, a true landmark in this area.
Sustainability within the Olympic Stadium is, of course, very important. For example, we have a BREEAM Very Good label on asset. We have a BREEAM Good label on building management. And further on, we try to reduce the energy usage. We also try to stop filling the water with the use of Smartvatten.
Right now, we have about 30 different meters active in the Olympic Stadium for the past 6 months. And so that's divided over the different offices around the stadium. So in the last 6 months, we've caught about 10 leaks very early on, and we were able, together with CBRE, fix them within 1 day. These leaks altogether, they have a potential saving of 200,000 liters per week.
So with their smart monitors, we know exactly how much water is consumed within this location. And with that data, we define our water management strategy.
Smartvatten helps us with smarter water consumption, which helps reduce water payments and energy consumption costs for our tenants. But more important, it reduces the carbon footprint of the Olympic Stadium.
So yeah, I think that ties in nicely to this webinar as well. The Olympic Stadium is a beautiful spot in Amsterdam. The offices in there are really nice. And it's good to see that they're so advanced in thinking about water management. So we're really happy to be able to work there. And it's one of our, maybe something that hasn't been mentioned in there is that we really feel the next steps are coming for us in the Netherlands and in other markets. And we really want to enhance our analytic capabilities and think about IoT meters and expand further than the countries that we're in right now. So this is really a good example of how we're doing right now. Oh, and yes, all right. And then we come to the questions section. So I'll have a look at floors to see if there's any questions at the moment. All right. Well, we had some questions beforehand, and there's some questions that do come up regularly when I talk to customers. And I think one of them is, how does Smartvatten feel about digital meters, or otherwise also called Internet of Things meters? Well, personally, I have a lot of contact with different water companies within the Netherlands, which are the owners of the water meters. And there are, initiatives to start working with these digital meters that make it much easier to share data. On the other hand, they aren't, the pilots that they're running are relatively small. And the fact that the efforts are spread out over the different water companies means that for large property owners in the Netherlands, it's very hard to get one solution. I think in the next years, we'll see a lot of jumps in this. We'll see a lot of progress. But I think it's important that Smartvatten also pushes this subject on. So it becomes just easier to connect your water meter to the internet. That's something we're really hoping for and working on. So that's a question that comes up a lot. And I probably also know, if you look at your energy or electricity meters, is that those have come up very quickly as well. So we hope we can establish something similar in terms of digital water meters. Another thing that I've been asked about before is, your energy labels. How does, if you think about BREEAM or GRASP, your certifications that you get, of course, water is very prevalent in there. But for example, in the Netherlands, an energy label for commercial real estate becomes more important in the next few years. And your water usage is also incorporated in that. I think it's important for us to figure out, how that's really going to affect our customers. And it's something that we do need to really keep a close eye on. But in the meantime, we're partnering up more with different certifications to make sure that that we can provide our customers with the correct information. And I think in the end, the best way forward is to start working on a water management strategy to show in different ways that you really are working on it and that you're working proactively towards saving water. That will always give you credit in the end. Then that was actually the questions that I had beforehand. After all of this, I hope this has inspired you a little bit, given you some ideas to start working with. I really encourage everybody to reach out to me or your the customer success manager in your country to start helping you out with water management saving, water savings and water management, I should say. And I thank you guys very much for joining today. I hope this has helped, and we can look forward to a future where we use much less water. Thank you very much.